All right, I think we're live. I'm pretty
All
sure.
right.
So, hello, Veronica. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to help a moron like me try to figure out what I'm doing.
Hi, Bob. It's good to chat with you. It's good to be here, and I'm excited about everything. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think this stuff's always so much harder on me because I've been so deep in, showing my age here, DOS and and then Windows for my whole
Sure.
life that switching to something else is almost harder than if I was just learning it from scratch because I'm always
Oh,
looking
sure.
for the opposite thing and nothing makes sense. So it's infinitely easier when I have help. So much appreciated.
No, that's great. I'm excited to be here. I will say I can't see your screen through Jitsi. I'm seeing the delay on YouTube right now, so I don't know how big of a problem that's gonna be. So
Yeah. And are we charging here? Why are we not charging? There's not a weird Linux thing with charging, right?
no, there shouldn't be a weird Linux thing with chart. If you're on a laptop, it should be plug it in and it just works.
Wow. So okay, first fail of the stream so far. Laptop was not plugged in.
Oh,
All
there you
right.
go.
Here we go.
We
Charging.
can blame Linux for that.
Yeah, definitely.
That no
Penguins.
that
All right. So, uh-oh.
what uh-oh.
You dropped audio for 1 second and then you came back. So,
I dropped I wasn't saying anything. So that might be why I dropped out.
it's probably just my headset filter. Okay, so what we have here so far is a laptop with Fedora on it. And
Okay.
the reason I chose Fedora specifically, even though you and a bunch of other friends were able to recommend certain distros, was because one of the goals of this is if I'm going to switch to Linux, I'm really going to want to take advantage of its audio capabilities because Windows 10 and 11 will not get you a clean audio analysis capture. So
Oh,
just
sure.
a very quick aside for any musicians out there who are recording, does not apply to us. This is for MD4A audio analysis or any deep dive audio analysis. But Windows 10 and 11 are not reliable. You need a Mac or Linux. So in order to do that, plus all the weird video capture stuff I'm doing, Fedora seems like the way to go. I tried Catchy OS, and I also tried Red Hat, Ubuntu, which was really slow. So I loved Catchy. I thought it was just a happy medium for Windows users. And so far, I hate Fedora. So hopefully you could walk me through it. If anybody watching might notice that I have, or maybe my screen's not set up enough for this, but I have I have it set to classic because at least I have the toolbar on top to be able to navigate around. Is
Sure.
that although the top toolbar is not really coming out on screen, is it?
Yeah, it looks like you're kind of zoomed in a little bit.
Yeah, so actually, I'm gonna change the display settings to mirror. That's my first mistake here. Keep settings and yeah, yes and no. Yeah, let me just switch this uh, and if for
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
reason the stream crashes, just hold on. I have it set so we can join back up.
Okay. Now I can see what you see.
All right,
I bet before I was seeing like a second screen. Okay,
good
this looks
enough.
more, yeah, promising. You're very tiny on the screen. You're probably doing like a 4K to. Yeah, there we go. That's better.
Hey, okay, perfect. So, after loading Fedora, I basically did the lazy person's, way of learning this stuff by just firing up Firefox and then just saying, "How do I install?"
Sure.
And almost nothing worked right. The closest I got was Krita, and I guess the goal for today would be to install the software that I rely on daily, and Krita and Resolve are it. But also try to figure out other little Windowsy things that I've been doing, and then I could try to replicate this on my desktop in my own time, so we don't have to have another 20-minute delay fail because I don't know
Sure.
what I'm doing.
No,
um,
that sounds like fun. I'm excited about it. So,
all right, so I guess I'll start with the issue with Krita. So installing it was easy. That was just as basic as you could get. But there's one feature. Here's just a random controller picture from a post.
I
Um,
had I'm sorry to interrupt, Bob. I had a few people in the chat are saying I was kind of quiet, so I just turned myself up a little bit. hopefully I'm audible now.
Yeah, and I'll keep checking the chat as well. And if anybody has any comments like that, I will adjust accordingly. Sorry about that. I thought it
No,
was going to
that
be the opposite because my mic's always quiet.
and I can see I might be clipping my gain stage a little bit. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see if people in the chat say I'm distorted, I'll turn it down again.
Okay. So the first issue is in order to really use Krita the way I do, I always need the image removal stuff for this exact scenario here. It's a GameCube controller. I wanted to take just the controller out just to show it off. So Krita Vision Tools is a plugin that I use that works fine on Windows. Begrudgingly, I'll have to give that to Photoshop. They're better. But when I hit select, Krita freezes. So that brought up the conversation. Should I be using KDE or GNOME? If I stick with GNOME or GNOME Classic like I'm doing now, there are other ways to launch Krita that didn't work. So basically, what would you do from this scenario on? And I'll drop a link to the article I was reading about what to do, and then I'll follow your lead.
Well, okay, so let's take a look at first off at somebody's saying it sounds like I'm talking into a faraway tunnel. Sorry if I sound like I'm talking into a faraway tunnel.
Really?
So,
Because you sound perfect through my headset here. So
yeah, I and you sound great too. Like I'm seeing
Huh.
and hearing, and I think it's okay. So the question. So first of all, what was the problem with the plugin specifically? Like, what happens when you actually try to use the plugin?
It completely freezes.
Okay.
And supposedly, so this is a Python extension, and it's
Yep.
apparently a known issue linked to Wayland session limitations. So there's a way to launch it with, is it Zorg? Xorg?
It's Xorg.
Xorg. And if I do it that way, if I just copy and paste the script on how to do it, that seems to work. But then how do I switch to that permanently for just this one program? And then are there any downsides of that?
So we got a few things here. So first of all, you're using GNOME, and I know you're using GNOME Classic, but you're using GNOME.
Right.
And full disclosure, I donate to both GNOME and Plasma. I'm a supporter of both projects, and I use them both for different computers for different reasons. Generally speaking, I'm going to recommend for folks who are in content creation, KDE Plasma is probably a bit more flexible.
Okay.
When it comes to a lot of these issues. And KDE Plasma is themselves moving to a Wayland only session, but they aren't there yet. And I don't remember for Fedora if Fedora GNOME has ditched X11 entirely, or if that's just on the horizon. I don't remember off the top of my head. But there should be in the login session manager a way to switch between desktops. You can have GNOME and GNOME Classic. And there should be, at least there used to be, a GNOME on X11. And if you set that up, you should be able to get your entire session going in that for plugins that might be breaking on Wayland. Rather than attempting to force Wayland to cooperate, I don't think there's anything wrong with dropping to X11 or some other desktop environment entirely for those tasks that are critical. I do it pretty frequently. And, especially if I'm recording audio, there are, I'll use sometimes an audio plugin that is set up for Windows and is being run in Wine, and on Wayland it's all kinds of hiccupy and weird. So what I end up doing is just dropping to an X11 session for that, and then throughout the rest of my day I might use that, or I might switch back to Wayland if there's something there. But that switching for a content creator isn't atypical, because I think that we often rely on a different kind of tool set than everyday users. Does that make sense? I think that's part of it.
It does, but do you have a Windows analogy you could use to what this is? So is this like dual booting Windows 7 and Windows 11
A,
for? Mhm.
a little bit. I'd say it's not nearly that complicated, but yeah, it's, if it's been a while. The last time I dailied Windows was XP. Um, and XP was the then current. It wasn't like I think I tried Vista, but like only only
Well, that explains why you're all the way on Linux then, because that was the worst. I
and
was at the Microsoft headquarters or their office in Chicago demoing that with them, and I found so many bugs. It's the media
sure,
center part of that. Yeah, that was a past life of mine, but yeah, that was horrible.
sure.
Absolutely horrible.
So, and I know people are gonna pick on Wayland, saying like, oh, da 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 da. It's Wayland is bloat or Wayland, but like Wayland's fine. There's nothing wrong with it if it's working for you. But I also don't think there's anything wrong with using some other session if that works better. And I know for certain kind of plugin-y stuff where, like the dev might not have adapted it to software made in the last 10 years, you might be stuck on something. It's not really Wayland's fault, but like we got to work with what we got to work with.
All right, so I guess I'm supposed to just install the X11 session package
Well,
then, right?
not necessarily. I'm kind of curious because you're not actually on this machine, right?
No, so we're streaming from the desktop,
Yeah.
so any
Okay.
changes we do to the laptop make no
I
difference.
want you to log out for a second.
Okay.
Yep.
I wish there was a way to get you to see this in real time. If I could update as we're waiting, I'll try to see if Jitsi will kick in, but we'll go from there. All right, so I'm logged out, and
Oh, yep. Okay. And I got a delay on my, so yeah, it's the Jitsi problem.
mm,
It's the Jitsi problem. Okay. I see no signal. Yep. You might see it already, and I'm still working on it.
yeah, sorry. I need to switch to Temple OS.
No,
Oh,
don't.
is that the old one that the crazy guy?
Something like that.
Yeah, I watched that documentary.
It's arguably performance art as software development, but
So oddly enough, it must not be cloning the video output because it's just a gray screen.
okay. So that's okay. I can work with this. I want you to look at, because I recognize you're in GDM, so that's a good sign. I want you to look at the bottom right. Do you see a gear?
No, there's just a little person.
Okay. Select your user name,
Okay.
and now do you see a gear?
Now there's a gear, yes.
Okay. Click on the gear. Tell me what it says.
It's just GNOME and GNOME Classic.
Okay. So yeah, you probably don't have an X11 session. You could now go back into GNOME or GNOME Classic, install that if you'd like to try to get that fired up, and then
Yeah.
we go from there.
All right. And so if that's and props, my friend Dan, another hardcore Linux user, always reminds me that the command line in Linux is actually pretty friendly. So the copying and pasting does really help.
Well, and one of the benefits of the command line is that you're always going to have it. Like if we didn't have the command line, like imagine trying to do this with graphical tools where you've got this desktop fragmentation. Like some people are on GNOME, and yes, it's pronounced GNOME because it comes from GNU. It's an acronym. GNOME is an acronym. So because people are going to make fun of me. You can pronounce it however you want, but they used to pronounce it GNOME. So that's it. And I've done whole blog posts about that, I think. So when you are dealing with this desktop fragmentation, having just a single tool is not really going to be possible. And so the command line effectively functions as the grand unified theory of Linux. And especially for the complex, like I know people who all they do is play video games, like the Steam Deck is a great example. There's thousands of Steam Deck owners who never drop to the command line for anything. Like it's entirely
Right.
possible to have a great Linux experience without the command line. But when your job is the complex, yeah, you're gonna need it.
Yeah.
But like I remember like talking to a Mac friend of mine, and they were talking about how they have to drop to the command line to do complex stuff. Like they have to drop to the command line to get their cut button back, like because how Mac doesn't have, like, you can copy a file, but you can't cut a file. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Um,
I use Macs, but I don't use it to the level that I use my day-to-day machine.
and
So, yeah.
so in order to get that functionality, there's like hacks you got to do, and it's like so. I mean, I think every operating system sucks in different ways, if that makes sense.
It does.
So and really, I think the big thing is the learning. So, and I will say, Fedora is not easy.
Mm.
And you, as somebody who's newer to this space, being on Fedora, you've given yourself hard mode.
It's kind of how I roll, though. So this is fine.
Okay.
So I did find the command just from a search that's install GNOME session X session, and it said failed to resolve the transaction, no match for argument. So
Yeah. I don't think that's the name. You can search X11 and it's going to get you a bunch of packages, but here, let's see what I get. GNOME X11, and you might not have it on Fedora. So let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Because the last review I see in the Fedora docs, I just looked up docs.fedoraproject.org, and I'm looking at the screen, and it's telling me the last time they updated this was back in 2011. So I don't know if you're going to get there. Here's what I would do if you're really bent on using Fedora. If Fedora is the way you want to go, and it might be for good reason, I would strongly consider trying a completely different desktop than GNOME.
I mean, I would be completely down with that as long as it doesn't affect, the audio and video work that I should be doing in this. Hopefully.
Ooh, okay. I see you're installing KWin.
Yeah, KWin-X11. Is that
Oh,
not good?
no, it's fine.
Okay.
You've jumped to KDE Plasma.
Okay. Well, at least there's another choice then if I needed
Yes.
to try it.
So, and KDE Plasma is great. I'm using KDE Plasma on the computer I'm talking to you on right now. Love KDE Plasma. KDE Plasma, like if you think about GNOME as being opinionated, and we have the we know what setup we like, and that's what we're putting out there. That's kind of the GNOME style of things. On KDE Plasma, it's everything is customizable. That might be to a fault.
Yeah. So I think I missed a step here anyway. So let me go back in and.
Yeah, I think you might have. So that's okay. Hopefully, you still have your session.
Yeah. I need to install SDDM X11 as well, right?
Well, SDDM. I don't know if you actually need X11 because SDDM should be able to work with both. Oh, there's a delay. Yep.
And after installing, do I need a full reboot or just a logout?
For the SDDM, I think on Fedora it should automatically pop up. If it doesn't, just reboot it. Okay, so SDDM. Yep, I see SDDM right there. But did you actually install Plasma?
I think I'm guessing.
Because I saw
yeah.
you install KWin.
Yeah, apparently I didn't do everything right, so I must not have. I installed KWin X11 and SDDM, not X11, just plain XDDM.
Let's see.
So should I do KWin then? Or I'm
Well,
sorry.
so I would start by restarting and see. Yeah, because you installed SDDM, but you didn't I can't say it. DPKG reconfigure. So yeah, let's install KDE Plasma. I forget what the package is on Fedora. I dropped a terminal right now, but I'm on Debian, so it's different. And so Fedora ships a Plasma that's just customized like in the ISO for Fedora. So you could install Plasma fresh if that ends up working out for you, and that's going to save you a bunch of steps here.
I had auto login set, which is why I came right back to the desktop, which that doesn't even seem to work right because I still need to put my password in when I do that.
Okay, so and the reason why is because the key ring is not unlocked when you have auto login. So it still needs that for all of your session stuff.
So when I tried to log back in, there was still just the same choices.
Yep, and so we're missing a thing. So let me see if I can get you the specific package. Install KDE Plasma on Fedora. Okay, I got a command for you. It's
okay.
Sudo DNF install and then @kde-desktop-environment. And I can see people in the comments are suggesting enabling a copper repo, a COPR. I do not recommend doing that without doing some research into it.
Yeah, I got an error. It said so it's @sign KDE-desktop-environment.
I think you spelled environment wrong.
Probably.
Environment.
Oh, yeah. How about that? Wait, already installed. Problem with installed package. Conflicts with. I mean, I could easily reinstall a different Linux on here if you would like to. I have no problem with that. If that's easier.
I'm gonna make a big suggestion here.
Okay.
Linux Mint.
Okay.
So
download Linux Mint.
Yes. Okay. And the reason why is really straightforward. I think Linux Mint has the best onboarding in all of Linux. You are going to have the easiest time finding solutions to problems on Linux Mint. You are going to have...
which edition, though? Cinnamon, XFCE?
Cinnamon.
Okay.
Cinnamon. So, Linux Mint is based on Ubuntu, but they have their own desktop environment called Cinnamon. And the Cinnamon desktop environment is going to approximate what you're used to on Windows. But it's significantly better, significantly more stable. Everything, I think, just kind of works. And I feel like Linux Mint is kind of flagship Linux at this point.
Okay.
It defaults to X11. Wayland is coming, but I think you're going to be able to drop to X11 for a lot longer on Mint than you ever would on Fedora, where you're going to be fighting it in order to get that stuff working. And that gives you time, I think, to learn what works for you and what doesn't.
And when I go back to actually install this on my main desktop, then I could actually do this on a fast USB drive, right?
Oh, yeah, you should be able to.
So I could learn what I'm doing here and then still practice on my desktop to see and kind of go from there.
In fact, Linux Mint has. Have you taken advantage of live CDs yet, or have you just installed and gone?
I have, but they run so slowly on my laptop because it's USB
Sure.
3 Max.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah,
Which
you definitely with Linux, you shouldn't have any sort of hard time either installing it on like a fast external drive or running it from the live CD, assuming you have a fast enough USB connection.
All right, so I just my USB stick was giving me trouble because of course it's Windows. That's what Windows does.
Oh,
So
you're doing the burning from Windows?
yeah, is that not good?
No, no, that's just totally fine. I just can't see it.
I did it because I'm so used to this going into disk part, cleaning a
Yeah.
USB stick, reformatting it, and reloading it. It takes me less than a minute, whereas I would have to have you walk me through it all on Linux.
Yeah.
All right, let me just new simple volume. Yeah, that's another reason I'm looking forward to Linux is the way that the file systems are handled on USB drives and Windows is a nightmare, and I've actually killed drives just
Well,
by formatting them.
and this is so this specific issue, if because I know you deal with a lot of flashing things. That's definitely a thing.
That sounds great, Veronica. Thank you very much for that. Bob's known
Sorry.
for flashing things,
You
everybody.
know what I mean. You know what I mean. So one of the things that I've noticed in my experiences with Fedora versus the Debian ecosystem of products is that Fedora has a different security model. Without getting too into it, there's a difference in software that's running under the hood called SE Linux, and it's kind of a pain to learn. You're not working on becoming a system administrator for Linux, so I don't need to get too into the weeds on it. But the permissions model on the Debian ecosystem, I think, is going to be significantly easier for somebody getting started. And I wouldn't recommend, unless your plan is to administer Red Hat systems for a living.
No.
I don't really recommend Fedora for beginners unless you really like learning and unless you've got the time to devote to like putzing and it's increasingly becoming harder to do that because you have slop articles showing up to tell you the wrong way to do things.
Yeah. So you nailed the time factor. I love learning new things, but I haven't touched my guitar in a year, and that was my favorite thing to do in the whole world. So I don't have
Sure.
time to do anything anymore. So yeah, no, this is you're saving me here. I think you could
Linux
probably
Mint is essentially easy mode Linux. And this is definitely what I would recommend.
Okay. Well, we are at the part where it's booted to the USB stick, and I'm going to start the installation process. Luckily, I have a very fast internet connection, so...
And there's nothing you're planning on, like, you don't need to save anything on the other on the computer?
No, this laptop, I mean, even if I installed it to the wrong drive, it's totally fine. Whereas on the desktop, I was, like, legit nervous that something was going to happen, that I was going to kill one of my drives.
I hear you. No,
so.
That makes sense. And obviously, yeah, start with... I just hit my microphone. Sorry, everybody. Yes, I would say it's a smart move to start with a laptop, get that moving, and then go from there. One of the advantages with Mint, and this is true across the Debian Ubuntu sphere, anything that uses apt, it tends to be the case that software will say they support Linux, and then you look closely and they support apt, which is Debian, Ubuntu, Mint, Pop OS, and that they don't really do the rest of it super well. And okay, I can see your screen right there. Install multimedia codecs. Remember our problem that we had with codecs and the whole thing? That resolved it.
Okay. And for erase disk and install Linux, no advanced features, or do I want LVM with the new Linux Mint installation?
I just do standard. You're probably fine.
Okay.
Like I wouldn't tweak with it too much unless you have a reason why you want something special like snapshotting, or like I think for starting at the baseline, just start with the baseline. Unless you care, I don't know if this encrypts by default. I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't know if encryption matters to you. That's
On this laptop, absolutely nothing.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm not going to encrypt my home folder.
Yeah, I was going to say encrypting the home folder, I think for a lot of desktop users is probably good enough. It depends on what your attack surface looks like if you want to encrypt the whole drive or not. I tend to encrypt the whole drive only because I learned to do it early enough and like whatever, I don't care. But if somebody yanks my laptop out of my hands, I don't have to worry too much about it. But I don't recommend any of that to beginners because it's like the most friction, like the internet is going to recommend the most friction possible to get any of this going. They always do. That's how it works. And it's because friction sells. And I think actual like Linux users tend to recommend less friction, especially for folks who are new here.
It's funny too, because I could generally get used to anything, and I was saying in the stream with Adam, you post Vox, that I worked my first corporate job. I was 19, and I was doing IT, and the IT manager was in his 60s, and every time he got a new PC, he would reset all of the settings so everything looked like Windows 3.11.
Right.
Including the file manager. So whenever he got support calls, he was like, I don't know what it looks like. So from that moment on, I learned like I'm going to always leave everything at default, because if somebody else needs help, I'll at least understand what they're seeing. And the only time I've ever put my foot down and said I can't do that was with GNOME, when you can't even save a file to the desktop. And I'm one of those people that has 0 files on my desktop, but sometimes I just need to leave it there.
We should have talked earlier because I could have saved it.
Yeah.
Like GNOME is I appreciate GNOME. I like GNOME. I think GNOME is fine. But it's like saying I appreciate iPad OS. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to recommend it to everybody for every purpose. Like you can I really do like using GNOME on specific devices, like anything with a touch screen. I love GNOME. I love being able to do the whole thing. And it can work just fine as a creator's desktop, but I think you got to learn a lot of things. And if you like having icons on the desktop, skip it. Just don't eat.
It's funny though, because I like having a completely 0 clean desktop, but I use it the way a literal desktop is supposed to be used. So okay, let me spread all my files that I'm working on now, and then when I'm done, I dump them into a nice tidy little folder somewhere, so my OCD doesn't have to look at a bunch of stuff that's just gonna disappear into the background anyway. So yeah, it's I need to be able to at least temporarily throw a file on the desktop.
Right, and you can get there with plugins, and GNOME is incredibly extendable with plugins. Like you can get the taskbar like Linux Mint has with a plugin. You can get you can blur the background with a plugin. You can have a constant task manager with a plugin. You can get file sharing between your phone and your computer with a plugin, but at one point now you have so many plugins that when something breaks, you're sitting there going, okay, now which one broke?
Yeah.
What part of the you're at this point you're now
it's like WordPress. It drives me crazy.
That is a fantastic analogy, actually. WordPress is incredibly powerful. There's a reason like a quarter of the internet runs on it. but would I recommend it to somebody who needs to be able to hack some Python scripts on it? No, probably not. It's not the thing I'd go, like go with something more bare bones that is going to get out of your way. And I think Mint is actually pretty good at getting out of your way. Um, Maybe even more so than Plasma. Which is great. Like I'm using Plasma on my Debian machine right now. I love it. It's fantastic. But, um, I got 20, 21 years of experience.
Yeah.
So like I've learned what to avoid and how not to break things. And I will say one other thing that comes, everybody who switches to Linux from Windows seems to run into this problem where some hardware doesn't work. And it's like, as time goes on, you learn not to buy certain hardware because you know it's not going to work. And so those of us who've used Linux for decades, we already learned that. Like the hardware we're using today, of course it works because we picked it because it works.
Right.
But like a Windows user switching doesn't necessarily have that luxury, and I think it's a little disingenuous for Linux users like me to say Linux will run on everything. Absolutely not. That's silly. Linux will run on almost anything that's 10 years old. That doesn't mean Linux runs on everything. And we, in my community, our community, I think we need to do a better job of like tempering that expectation.
All right. I'm going to set myself up for success here and pre-download DaVinci Resolve for Linux.
So I was wondering about that. DaVinci. I wonder if DaVinci works on Ubuntu. I bet it does. And that's one thing about, so when you're running Linux Mint, you want to look for instructions for Linux Mint, and then if you don't find instructions like how to install X software on Linux Mint, the next thing you would look for is how to install on Ubuntu. That's going to get you pretty close.
All right. Well, this is almost done installing the OS. My Linux files for Resolve is almost done, and that's a big one. And then the rest of them are all small stuff, so I won't have to worry.
And I was going to say, I know from firsthand experience, Krita works, or Krita. I don't know if it's Krita or Krita.
Me neither. No clue.
Yeah, no, I've never heard anybody say it out loud until like just 20 minutes ago. So, I remember from experience that works great on Linux Mint. No issues there. Now, of course, I don't know if your plugin's going to work, but Now it's interesting that you're using a plugin. It's a plugin that it strips the background. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I'll drop a link in the chat for everybody who's interested. It's the Krita Vision Tools, and I think here, let me drop it in. So really the only reason I need this is because all the time I want to select certain things, and Photoshop's image select tool is actually excellent.
Oh yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, and the one that I just found, the Krita Vision Tools, is fine. But if anybody has anything better, please, please, please let me know. Because I've even to do the silly thumbnail for this, the Krita Vision Tools didn't work right.
Right.
So I had to drop your thumbnail that I stole from one of your other videos into another program online in order to do that. So
I'm curious about this myself because I've been using Inkscape for thumbnails for what mainly I use Inkscape because I can manipulate the text, and I care more about the text than the images, just for the way I do. Like my thumbnail workflow is essentially I grab a screenshot from Kdenlive, which is my video editor, and I just take the screenshot, zoom in on it, and then add whatever text I need. And I spend a lot more time on the text than like cutting myself out. I don't typically do that. But when I've done it, I have to do it manually, grab and select each point in me and eventually move it. And
Yeah, that takes forever. That's how I
it
did it
takes
for years, and it just
it,
takes too long.
it takes a really long time, which any amount of delay in getting a video out is annoying. And so I've been looking at it.
Yeah, the other thing that I do all the time is I have friends who make amazing products who bought a light box and still
Mhm.
can't figure out how to take a picture. So
Sure.
when they some of them I'll even tell me just send me the pictures. I'll cut your products out, add the drop shadow, arrange them, and put them in my post, and just take them back for your own listing and don't even worry about it. So
Sure.
all right, so I think we're here. I could just
And
close
you got
out.
the nice welcome screen.
All right, and it comes with Firefox. I use Brave. I don't know why.
You should be able to install whatever browser you like.
I'll just leave this for now just to see, and let's just start with install Krita Linux Mint and see what happens.
Okay, so you're going to the web. I'm gonna suggest check out the software store.
Oh, okay. Software manager?
Yeah. I mean, I'm on a delay here, so
Generating cache. Hey, what's up, Lex? Good to see you. Thanks for swinging by. Lex, now that you've seen this, there's now zero excuse. I'm going to be messaging you soon, asking you how to get the data path vision running in Mint. Sorry, my friend. All right. All right. Yeah, it's right here.
oh yep, okay. The delay is killing me here. So uh
Yeah, let me just see if I could connect to you on Element and switch over. Probably not, but
yeah, I don't want to get, too into the weeds on it, but so I think the flat pack is community managed for Krita. It should be fine. But one of the things about plugins that I know from experience with other programs is that if the plugin is looking for native Python packaging, you could run into some differences. And so see how there's a flat pack and a not flat pack.
right.
I would suggest try the flat pack first, and then if that doesn't work, try that other one and see how that works.
All right, easy enough.
Because typically the flat pack is going to be very up to date, and then the system package version of it is usually going to be delayed. And I don't know how familiar you are with Flatpak, and like people are going to have strong opinions. They're already probably arguing in the comments about my suggestion with it.
I am not at all familiar with it. So you want to give like the quick overview?
Sure. The quick overview is you have there's all this fragmentation in Linux where you have packages for Red Hat systems, which is different than packages for Debian-based systems, which is different for packages for Arch-based systems, and this gets complicated. It's weird. And somebody said, let's make one unified system for all of this. So now there are 4 systems, as the meme goes, and we've now added FlatHub as kind of a central repository. It's got its pros, it's got its cons, but what I like about FlatHub ecosystem is that it's pretty well supported on Mint. It's pretty well supported on Debian. It's pretty well supported on Arch. It's pretty well supported on Fedora. It's pretty, so if you learn that system, the solutions for one distro end up working for the other, and you can tend to get pretty up-to-date packages. And there's a reason like Steam or Valve chose Flatpak for software distribution for the Steam Deck. Like that gets into a concept called immutability, where you have the underlying system is somewhat static from the provider, and the everything else beyond that is delivered through a third-party repo like Flatpak. Makes it harder to break your system, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, that is. Thank you. All right, testing and yeah, that's it. That worked.
Okay, I'm delayed, so I haven't seen it yet.
So I installed Krita. Krita, you know what? Just everybody assume that I'm saying it wrong, please. I installed Krita, and then I installed the plugin, and it just said reboot, and I reboot the software, not the whole OS.
Okay.
And the plugin is now working perfectly. And,
that looks great. I can see it right from there. That's awesome. Oh, geez, that might be enough to get me to want to switch.
Yeah, so actually, since everybody's watching, I'm going to just demonstrate what I don't like about this. So if I'm going to click on the tool, and I'm going to select this entire board, and you got to wait for a minute, and you can see how it also selected the Neo Geo logo and everything else here. So that does happen on Photoshop. So what I could do is, paste another layer, drag this over, and then just delete that part.
Right. That's typically how I tried to resolve that problem.
Yeah. Or on Photoshop, what I used to be able to do is then say, okay, well then I'm just going to highlight this. And perfect. Well, let me do this again. It worked better the last time. Okay. All right, so that would happen, and then you click on this tool or a similar tool in Photoshop, and you just go down over it, and it selects the rest of it. And that does not happen here. Now it removes the old selection and adds the new selection. So if anybody out there has a better plugin for this, let me know. Everybody keeps telling me GIMP. I've tried GIMP every year for 20 years, and I hate it with a passion. And now, I put hours into it this time.
I will say because they just released version 3.0, and it is better. It is, and try it, see what you like about it.
I did for hours and hours the past couple of weeks, and I just really don't like it because it doesn't work the way it doesn't have any of the same flow that this does.
I have always struggled with the workflow around text with it. It's
right,
like something simple like add a stroke around the text to form an outline.
I was just about to say the exact same thing. Holy crap, is it horrible.
It's making and then my favorite part about it is you make a drop shadow. That's how you resolve it. But then if you need to edit your text, or rotate, if you ever rotate it, you lose the text layer. It becomes a static layer, and you can go through and edit after the fact, but you lose all your changes. You lose your drop shadows. You lose your stuff. And that means if I ever want, let's say I get a thumbnail just right, but then I decide after looking at it, I do that thing where I look at it far away to see how visible it is. And it's like, oh, the color contrast on this is a little weird. So I'm going to change the background color, maybe make it a little bit bigger. And every time I do that, I have to redo every single drop shadow, every single change. And if I've forgotten how I did it, now I'm basically making a brand new thumbnail every single time. And it's like that. It's just not really optimized, I think, for a thumbnail workflow. Inkscape is good at text, and Inkscape is a vector editor. So it's great with logos and that sort of thing. But what you're doing where you're taking a physical object and removing it, it's just not there yet. And what I would end up doing would be probably to try Krita here and then bring it to Inkscape for the text layer parts. So, do the image parts first. That might actually save me some steps. So
Yeah, anything you could do to save yourself time. Like some people who don't do this stuff make jokes, and that's fine. I never mind being the butt of a joke, but if you could save yourself 20 seconds every time you do something, at the end of the year, you've got hours back. So,
Sure. Yep, absolutely.
um, all right. So I just
We're
downloaded the
DaVinciing.
package. Yeah, we're DaVinciing now, and it says, and when I tried to install it, it says missing or outdated system packages detected, and it's asking me to download and install a bunch of this stuff.
Yep. I don't use DaVinci, so I don't have it here, but I'm seeing like a few libraries maybe. What is it? libsound and
Yeah, lib APR1, lib APR util1, libsound2.
so have I'd pull up a terminal and hit apt. It's apt here, not DNF.
Okay.
So like sudo apt and then add all of the packages it's telling you. And now, did you name your user?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure you're not in like the live environment or something like that, because yep, it's sudo apt install.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. So, and you know what? Actually, before you do that, do a sudo apt update first, just because you're not going to have the it might not have registered the package libraries.
And there's also an update manager here. That just popped up on its own.
Yeah, that might pop up because you're once you hopped into the terminal and hit apt, it probably triggered a, oh hey, Bob's computer has some updates. We should probably like inform him, like that kind of thing.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna skip that unless
Yeah, I think you're
necessary.
safe to ignore it for now. Typically, if we weren't on a live stream, I would suggest your first step would be to update, get all the possible updates in a row, and do all that. So yeah, I can see it says 176 packages can be updated. You do not have to feel compelled to do that right this second, but you should do that after the stream.
It's giving me an issue now for libsound2 is a virtual package provided by, and it said you should explicitly select one to install.
Oh, so pick one of them, probably the top one, but I don't know for sure. Because I'm on a delay. So lib, let's see if I can make you bigger.
T64.
I might do the T64 one actually.
So the ease of use for the command line for something like this is where I commend Linux, but where I don't is couldn't DaVinci Resolve just to put together some kind of easy batch file that just says,
And
missing or outdating system packages, press here to install them.
so, and that's where I feel strongly that that's not really it's not really Linux's problem, it's DaVinci's problem.
Fair enough.
And so I have some experience with Blackmagic because I have used their cards for years on Linux, and I commend them for supporting Linux in any way, like because all too often professional grade gear and software just isn't there. But I'm going to contrast this process of the install with another professional grade piece of software that I use and appreciate, which is Bitwig Studio, which is a DAW that I've used for a number of years. And Bitwig Studio just provides you a FlatHub link. Like you can just click a couple of things and install it, and away you go. You don't have to think about it all that much. And I feel like Is it still yelling at you about the same issue?
Even though I installed them all, yeah.
Okay. You might need to restart the session. You know, just a simple restart might do it.
Let's give that a try.
Yeah, and the other thing is I don't know if the Resolve installer requires a root like a sudo or anything. So
good point.
I don't know because I haven't done it. At least not recently. I think the last time I installed Resolve for testing was 3-4 years ago, and I remember sudo.
So what do you use to edit your videos then?
I use Kdenlive, which is a free and open source editor. It's definitely got its own workflow. I think it's really powerful. I think it's really great. I really like it. I know a lot of people have strong opinions that it's not good enough, and it works fine for me. But I had to learn it, and learning it took years, of figuring it out. But I think that's true of any editor. That's true of Premiere. I think that's true of DaVinci. I think, like they're all different, and learning them is a challenge. Okay, I can see you're still getting the issue.
Yeah, and since there's a delay, and since I do want some success here, in the chat, Massimo Loria just said if I hold down Shift, I could add that selection. So I want to try it. All right, so I'm going to add this thing.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Size, I'm going to increase the size. Hold down Shift. All right, it's still not as good as it could be. Wait, icon. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted.
I see, though, but holding down Shift, okay.
All right, that adds to it. Sorry for my
nope, that's okay.
ADHD bouncing back and forth here.
I like that.
Okay, so great tip, but it still isn't Photoshoppy.
Now I want to give this a big try. I think this could be a big help for my workflow. So I've already bookmarked it. We're going to be looking at that in the next week or so as I plan my next thumbnail. So let's do... I want to try the Resolve command from the terminal. Can you open up a terminal and drag DaVinci Run into it?
Okay. And it's showing the whole path.
Yeah, that should be fine.
And just try to run it?
Yeah. Let's see what it does. You might have to put a dot in front of it if it doesn't automatically run, but...
It does. Now, I could use skip package check 1 to bypass the system package check, but it still gives me the same missing packages error.
Okay, and that I was thinking it might... Yeah, try skipping it, because we know we installed it.
Silent Jet said, make Resolve Deb is a better way to install DaVinci. What is that?
There are a few different ways to get that going. I would stick with the typical, which would be sudo, and then you do the skip _ package _ check equals 1, and then the rest of the command.
Okay.
And then you might need a -I at the end, which I think will do what needs to be done. But
oh, another shout out to the command line here. I just hit up by accident, and when I hit down, it saved what I was already typing.
Yep.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, and I would try to run that with sudo probably.
Did that? Yep. And it's installing.
Yep. Okay. You're in the future, but to me, this looks promising.
Yeah, I don't know why it's so delayed today. I mean, there's always a delay, but today it seems extra bad.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Blame YouTube.
I want to blame Jitsi on this one because we couldn't get the virtual camera working.
Well, and virtual cameras are weird. Like OBS and virtual cameras is a bit of a trip, because one thing that has always bothered me about the OBS virtual camera is that they don't combine it with a virtual audio driver.
Really?
I don't think they do.
Huh.
And so I can do, like, the virtual camera is really neat for sharing a screen on a stream, but then I gotta like hack in an audio thing. And like for me, I want to have the fine grained control in OBS over the audio levels for things like if I'm doing a stream where I'm showing a piece of software and it has audio in it, it's like I don't necessarily want to blast my audience or whoever I'm talking to.
Mm.
Especially as a musician, if I'm doing like a stream with my bandmates, because none of us live in the same state, and if I want to share and collaborate and stuff, I'm basically just playing it over my speakers, because I can't just like pipe in and do like a mixer to get the audio right, and I just find that to be annoying.
Yeah. I've never actually tried a remote jam session before.
Oh, it's definitely a trip. It
Yeah.
doesn't work particularly well.
I can't imagine it does. We used to just email each other files back and forth to add to the sessions and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't think Resolve loaded. I mean, it did, don't get me wrong, but it just
Did it just exit out right away?
yeah, like when I click on it, nothing happens.
Okay. So I wonder, do you have a Nvidia card on this?
I do, and I probably need to install the drivers, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say that might be the next thing. And,
Why isn't that automatic?
well, I think it depends on what, because I use AMD, which is a reason I don't use Resolve, but which is a reason, not the reason, and that all installs just fine automatically. I don't even have to think about it. I don't know how I don't know if I would go to Nvidia for this. You can certainly try it, but there is a driver manager in what's it called, in Linux Mint, and that's probably how you want to do it.
So I'm just
See
looking
right there. Yep. See the driver manager?
Yeah, okay.
And they got a fingerprint manager. Cool.
Thunderbolt. This laptop doesn't have Thunderbolt.
That's interesting. I wonder what's going on there.
Okay. So it has a recommended version of it. This device is using an alternate driver. So I should just select I'm assuming the recommended version that it's
Yeah, that should be a safe bet. Now, I don't know if that's going to work out the gate with Resolve. I know sometimes Resolve needs something really specific, and that's where like it's really going to depend on your card and all the pieces there. If I'm remembering correctly from a friend of mine who uses Resolve, they were able to get this working with like a command line switch. And then what they did was they rewrote they made a shortcut to execute it with the command line switch, and they stuck that on their desktop.
While I'm waiting for that, I'm also just going to select this just because why not? It's still installing and down. So I'm just going to.
Yeah, I don't know if the Windows drivers are going to help you.
No. It's Linux 64-bit.
Oh, yep. I'm on a delay. Sorry.
Yeah, yep. No, that's exactly the type of mistake I would have made, though. I'm so used to my subconscious just like grab the Windows driver. So, yeah. But let's see what they got on their website. This is still going in the background, so I'm not slowing us down here.
Yeah. Yeah, and Resolve is definitely like It's powerful. I do. I like what I see from them, and I'm happy to support a company that actually supports Linux. I do wish they provided a better installation mechanism, and that's not Linux's fault. That's honestly them making the decisions that they make about how they install or how they provide an installer. And that's
Well,
something
this
they
is the
could fix.
same chicken and egg thing I see constantly, where
Mhm.
people just assume, well, if somebody's on Linux, they're going to know how to do this, so I'm not going to bother with
Right.
any of this stuff. But that's not going to get more people to, to use whatever it is that you're doing.
But like
So,
if you go to like if you open up Bitwig Studio in your browser, they just provide a link. It's and it's just it works across everything. It's absolutely amazing. Like you don't have to think about it all that much. And I think there is a better world out there for Linux users, but the manufacturers have to do the thing.
hmm. Have you used Reaper?
I have. I like Reaper just fine. It's a different workflow,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah.
Because I was a Pro Tools person, and
Oh,
then
sure.
just because, for no reason other than that's what I heard people use. And then
Yep.
I got used to it. And then Renee from DB Electronics basically just abused me until I switched to Resolve.
Oh, sure.
And once I got over the learning curve, I was like, oh, I get it. And the number one biggest difference is that my hands were glued, like my pinky is glued to the control key, and I control
Sure.
S every time I made a change. Because
Mm.
even when I bought, uh, I don't know why I'm just drawing a blank. Even when I bought Pro Tools and I got the official version updated, everything's running fine, I still would have it crash all the time while recording.
Right.
It just never really happened on when I switched over. So
Mm-hmm.
shocking to think how much money you pay for something that barely works. Premiere was like that for a while. It got much, much better, but it was genuinely that bad for a long time.
Sure. I think that I don't know if your Nvidia drivers have wrapped up, but it looks like it's taken a really long
It's taken
time.
forever, and I don't understand
But
why.
I wonder if it's actually like because you're screen mirroring. Like it can't switch. It
Oh,
can't do this.
let me just unplug the
Yeah, like give it a minute to.
Oh, no, right before I grabbed the HDMI cable and unplugged it, it started skipping to the end, but it's all right. We could You're on screen, so people know that the stream
Well,
isn't
there.
dead.
Hi, everybody.
So, and now it says you need to restart, so that's perfect. That was
Okay.
hilarious timing, but
Yep.
whatever.
That works out. So, well, cool. Okay. Yeah. I really I like what I see from Resolve. I like what I see from Black Magic. They make good stuff and they do a better job of supporting Linux than Elgato, as an example. Um, but it could be better. And I think that one of the ways they could improve it is by adopting a containerization first approach with how they produce their software and just put it on Flatpak or App Image. Give us one or the other, but just say we're going to ship with all of the, drivers needed. Because I get the idea of native packaging when we're talking about things that are teeny and that they might be running on a 20-year-old laptop or something like that. But if you're editing videos, space better be your friend.
Mm.
It's part of the job. And so, shipping a few extra drivers and adding 20 or 30 meg full of additional information, I don't think is that big of a deal. I think they should do that thing. And I don't know why they don't.
Well, I rebooted and I tried to launch DaVinci Resolve, and I saw the little emblem spin, and then it
Oh, it's
stopped.
same problem.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I was gonna say there's DaVinci Box. That's an option. Um, which is a piece of software that basically runs it in a container. They do that containerization first approach for you. Um, that's the one that I've heard has the best chance of success. But, you know, I don't know if I'm ready to give up on this yet either. It just depends on how fast you want to go.
Yeah, I mean, you're the person who is donating their time to this, so whatever you want to do, I am
Okay.
here.
Um, I wish there wasn't a delay. So the thing I'm thinking of is like your GPU, and let's see. Why don't you open up the terminal and try to open up Resolve that way? Let's see if we get an error.
It'd probably be, I just launched DaVinci Resolve, right?
Well, so if you go, like, I think it installs an opt, but I don't know for sure.
Wow, there's actually a right-click menu in this version of Linux. Here we go.
Oh, yeah, no, the terminal here is amazing. So, let's see. Yep, there it is. Did you see where it says command and it shows you what the command is? I saw you hover over it.
Yeah, so I just type that in manually?
Or copy and paste it, yeah.
All right.
Oh, okay. So now we know why it failed. So basically,
symbol lookup error. Okay, so
yep.
it is missing those libraries, right?
It's missing. Well, there's something. It might be a conflict with the library. This is where, Google is the key, is trying to figure out what the problem would be. I see a blog post. Can I drop a link in the chat? I suppose I can probably message you this. Here, give me.
Yeah. First, hold on. You just post anything at all in the chat.
Jitsi.
Oh, okay, that'll work too.
Yeah. Okay. There is on this page. It looks like a few files need to be moved, and it contains commands that you can execute for how to do that. And yeah, somebody in the chat says tab will auto-complete what you start typing. And it's one of my favorite things in the terminal is hitting tab.
I am going to drop this link on a USB stick so I don't have to manually type everything.
I was gonna say Reddit is your friend too on these sorts of things.
Really?
Cause yeah, Reddit can be because, search is inundated with slop articles that don't really explain how to solve problems, and Reddit, I think you're more likely to run into a human with a solution.
Fair enough.
I mean, not all the way likely, but more likely.
Fair enough. All right. So this says for a different version of DaVinci Resolve Studio.
Yeah, I'm gonna say let's stick with the I think it had the error you had before. So
it's listing the commands that I would need to install that.
Yeah, but if you scroll down, the final list will be inside the unneeded folder right above that.
Yes. Okay, that's
yeah, I think we did that.
Yeah, okay. Here we go.
Yeah,
to work around this issue, you need to move a few libraries. So here's where I need to start copying and pasting.
That's the one.
Okay.
The delay has gotten to us. And again, the reason you're having this issue isn't because it's Linux. The reason you're having this issue is because DaVinci doesn't support this distro. And if you stuck with what DaVinci supports, I think they're supporting like Red Hat from 5 years ago. They're not supporting stuff from the modern era. And that's really unfortunate because, when you compare what Blackmagic is doing with DaVinci with like other software in the creative space, you can see there's a difference between how they operate it.
Yeah, so that was it. So I am going to drop this in the chat for anybody who is interested,
That looks great.
and I
It
am
looks
going
like
to
it's working.
bookmark this.
So hopefully you have a working DaVinci now.
Continue.
Yeah, somebody in the chat says they support Rocky Linux. Like, I love Rocky Linux. I'd run it on a server all day long. And if all I was doing was editing on this machine, something like that might work really well. But Rocky Linux is a 10-year distro, and it feels like it. Everything's very conservative, very slow to update. You're not getting the latest and greatest. And that can be a real challenge if you are also trying to do things that need stuff from the more modern era. For me, Debian with a 2-year life cycle, that's just fine. Fedora gives you a 6-month life cycle. Mint is closer to a 2-year, but they pull some things in for you, which is going to make things a little better, especially like GPU drivers. And there's all kinds of other distros out there, but I think Mint for a beginner has a pretty good balance between newness and stability.
So I think this is all excellent, and I don't think this GPU problem is a problem because this is a spare laptop that's a decade old. I think the fact that we got the program running, and I'm running a 5060 graphics card on my main PC should be totally fine.
Well, hopefully the 5060 has drivers. That's going to be the big issue. Any Linux, if you were able to get the drivers running in Fedora, you almost certainly could get them running in Linux Mint. That, I think probably not going to be an issue there.
Just out of curiosity, I could just drop the let me quit. Let me just drop the driver I downloaded in here and see what happens.
I mean, try it. Absolutely.
Because this, while I personally don't need it, this is definitely something that other people who are watching might.
Well, and Nvidia is an interesting case too, because Nvidia is working on a you loaded the file instead of the
Yeah.
It didn't actually execute. It just opened. Okay, X out of that file. So you have to set the
okay. So
yeah, you have to set the permissions to allow it to be executed.
Okay.
Because,
allow executing file as program.
So, and this is a good thing from a security perspective. People pick on it, but like if you think about any exe, it can just start running. You don't want that. You want to be able to decide, okay, I want to execute this as a program. I think that's probably a good thing.
Yeah. All right. Must be run as root.
That means sudo and then do that thing.
So I could just drop this in and then just put sudo in front of it, right?
Yes. Somebody in the chat asked, what are your opinions for gamers switching to Bazzite versus Windows 11? I mean, if you like Bazzite, you like Bazzite. If you like Windows 11, you like Windows 11. I don't tell people you should switch and here's why. Every YouTuber seems to do this is what you should do, especially in the Linux space. If you like Windows, use Windows. That's what I say. Bazzite is a pretty good gaming distro, and the people that I know who really like Bazzite really like Bazzite. I have considered using Bazzite on like a home theater PC that also plays games, and I think it's worth a look. I tend to get more into, like, I tend to use instead of using a fork of a thing, like Bazzite's a fork, CashieOS is a fork. I tend to use the original thing, if that makes sense. So like excuse me, my voice. Like Debian instead of Ubuntu as an example, but that's just me because of experience and wanting a little bit finer grain control over things.
So it failed and said, basically said, do it through Ubuntu. So I'm gonna just look to update the driver. While I'm doing that, how about some stupid proofing here? All right, wait, hold on.
Sure.
So the Nvidia driver 580 is the newest. I'm just gonna try this. Apply changes. So in Windows, if I want to access a network share, I open the run command, I do / / and the server name, and that's
Sure.
it. How do I do it here? Is it that easy?
Accessing a server share. I don't know that you could do it in the command line, but it's going to be a little bit more complicated than just a few commands. I don't know if you've got Samba enabled and installed by default, but yeah, I would just go to the network tab and just select what you need and type in your password.
Yeah, I don't see it. My server is not here. RetroSMB, so RetroNAS is here,
Oh,
but my other server is not.
what are you running, Unraid?
Yeah.
Okay. It might not be broadcasting the same thing, but if you hit, I think, edit in here, you should be able to add a server directly.
File connect to server?
Yeah, there it is. In GNOME it's in one place, in Elementary OS it's in another, they're always in different places. So file connect to server sounds right.
There you go. Let's try connecting as anonymous. All right, that worked.
So I think the reason that happens is I don't know if Unraid by default broadcasts the fact that there's a server there.
Yeah.
Whereas I know RetroNAS does. I by the way, your video on RetroNAS got me totally hooked on it. We've got that hooked up to the Mister, and then we can play the games on emulators or the Mister, or like we've been building out this whole thing with it. It's awesome.
That is really cool to hear. But anything Linuxy related for that video was all Dan Mons walking me through it like a child.
Okay.
But yeah, editing the video, showing the pretty pictures. Yeah, I'll take credit for that.
There you go. Nope, I'm a big fan of RetroNAS. I might do a RetroNAS video myself.
I hope you do.
Because I want, one of the things that I want to talk about with it is some of the other services you can spin up. Like you can spin up a little BBS on there, which is awesome and is definitely super helpful for certain things that you're trying to do with old computers. And I just love the fact that all the files are shared, and I just think it's great.
Yeah. And the thing I'm looking forward to as well is at some point, I mean, if you want to do the video, go for it. But I still want to play around with the adding, what is it called? Mr. Organizer, and update all to RetroNAS. So if you have multiple Misters, everything just runs directly from the RetroNAS.
If I had multiple Misters, I would test that. I only have one, at least for right now. Like I've thought about doing like the handheld Mister. But I haven't. It's obviously expensive, and there's other projects that are eating up my time right now.
Yeah. Oh, a couple people in the chat just said SMB : / if I wanted to try to add that as well.
Well, SMB : / that's going to be for the direct. If you're trying to just type in the location of it. I don't know if that's actually going to mount everything permanently.
Oh, I wouldn't want that in most cases, so that's actually
okay.
fine. Let's just see. Yeah. All right. Thank you. That's it. That was exactly what I was hoping for. Perfect.
There you go.
Nope, didn't do it that way. Oh, it's all right. Okay, so I use Free File Sync, which is a free Windows program to back up my PC to the Unraid server, and it's
Sure.
essentially it's as if I was backing up two local drives. I don't even need to map it. I just drop the network location and the SMB location. What
Sure.
Linux program does this?
I would say Sync Thing is probably your best bet. I don't know if you're familiar with Sync Thing.
I tried it once 5 years ago, couldn't figure it out, gave up, never went back. So
It, it,
I got to
it
try it again.
I think it's gotten a lot better in 5 years. I personally, there is a backup. I think it's called Time Shift baked into Linux Mint. I would give that a hard shot before you look at other things.
I'm going to need to learn Sync Thing for a couple of reasons. So I'm going to download that through the software manager now
Yeah.
and just see.
Yeah, I personally like Sync Thing. I use ButterFS snapshots and mirroring and a really complex thing. But Sync Thing works. Sync Thing's pretty good. And there's also rsync is a classic, but it's going to be slower. rsync is very much terminal focused, and like if you're doing stuff with Unraid where you need something to be like, say, mirrored off site, rsync might be the way you'd go. I don't know if I'd use Sync Thing for that, but that's, everybody's different.
Yeah, there's also Tailscale for that, I believe.
Yeah, Tailscale is that it's good. I think it might be a little overkill for certain things. It's definitely a pain to set up, and once you have it set up, it's great. But I don't like tunneling that way and using like third-party sources. I prefer a more traditional Unixy approach, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Oh, you know what's funny? Somebody in the chat just brought up Free File Sync is available on Linux Mint. Well, maybe I'll install that to be lazy and then come back to Sync Thing. But I just
that's great.
rebooted after the driver update. We're gonna try Resolve one more time and go from there. Oh, this looks funky. All right, let me display settings, mirror.
Oh, are you on that 580 driver?
Yeah.
Yeah, this might be the capture card. I don't know if your capture. I've dealt with this with capture cards before, where it's like the timing isn't right.
This is very funny.
Nope, I've seen this on Nvidia. That to me that seems like that's a driver Nvidia issue. Are you if you unplug it from the capture card, does it also look like that?
Let me well, my screen, my laptop screen looks fine, so let me unplug it.
Yep.
Let me just give it a minute. Resolve is loading right now, so let me just give it a moment just in case. But
yeah, I think what you're seeing is a capture card timing issue, not a
and I'm
looks better now.
plugging back in.
It briefly looked better.
Okay, it's working, and you could all see Resolve working as well. So that was yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm still on the delay.
Still on the delay. Yep, but Resolve worked after installing the driver. So
okay, great.
So we did everything right. The only thing to note would be don't use recommended, just use the newest NVIDIA driver. Shout out to the chat for calling that one out.
Yep, nope, that's and that's going to be different on different cards. It takes some amount of futzing to get things working. The big thing is that Linux Mint made this a click. Try doing it in Fedora. It's going to be a pain. And I love Fedora. I love what Fedora does. But oh my goodness, Linux Mint is just, it's easy mode. It's the easy mode way to go. And then as you develop a feel around what works and what doesn't in Linux, you might find that you're actually drawn to Fedora for some other reason, or Ubuntu for some other reason, or Debian for some other reason, or Arch for some other reason. And I think that's great. I don't think there's any problem with mixing and matching either. You might run your server on Debian, but your desktop on Arch, but your editing rig on Linux Mint, like all of that, that's fine. You use what works. That's at least with Linux, you have the freedom and the options. And on Windows, increasingly everything is cloud. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, and it'd be I think it'd be great if things worked, but oftentimes things don't work, and it's a pain.
Yeah, so that's actually what really drove me. So the getting rid of the Adobe Creative Cloud was price. They more than doubled the price in the past
Yeah.
couple of years. But a lot of my, and I mean this with love, but a lot of my fellow IT nerds are a little too paranoid. But this time they're absolutely right, without a shadow of a doubt. Like the forcing you to create a cloud account and
Yeah.
connect to the internet. It's weird. I don't like it. It's just
No.
another thing that's not only going to slow the computer down, but it's just, yeah, it's crap.
I can't stand being told I need to create a cloud account just to use. Like, I use Graphene OS as my phone, and one of the reasons why I picked Graphene OS is simply because there's no cloud account required. Like, I don't need a Google account to use my phone. I can just, you know, sign into it and it's fine. Um, Also, shout out to Ron. Thanks for he super chatted you.
I just noticed that. Thank you so much, Ron. That is very, very, very nice of you. Ron
No,
said, if anyone could fix it or explain it, it's Veronica. Absolutely.
Ro-
That's why she's here.
Ron is a good friend of the channel, so he's a good
Ah,
person to follow.
thank you, Ron. So now we're going to install OBS. And now we're going
Yes,
to see if this actually works, unlike last time.
and I feel like Mint software. See how it just showed you all the extra things it was gonna do.
Yeah, yeah. I left that up on the screen for free file sync a little too long for that exact reason, because I just wanted to show everybody that's how Resolve could have been.
There is a reason Mint is flagship Linux, and like a lot of flagships, it tends to be slower to change, but I would argue that's a feature for somebody in the creative space, because
Yeah, agreed.
when we depend on the tools being stable, yeah, Wayland might not be for you. And the internet's going to tell you, "Hey, you should be using Wayland and here's why." But the internet is wrong for certain groups of people. I think Wayland is fantastic on a little gaming rig where you want, like, I have HDR upstairs on Wayland. That's awesome. It works great. I can watch my movies and play my games. Um on my editing rig, I'm not editing HDR footage. I don't care about HDR. I don't need that. So, like, being able to drop out of Wayland is super convenient.
All right.
And Linux Mint at least is conservative in the way they make these changes, and I think that for a creative machine is actually really great. That's one of the reasons I'm using Debian on here, is that it doesn't change very often. I have at least a year and a half before I need to decide if I'm going to permanently remove my X11 sessions. And that's just a decision that you can't easily make on something that's faster like Fedora.
Okay.
Not that Fedora's bad.
OBS is installed and it is recording the screen, which it wasn't doing before because most likely I didn't have those dependencies
Yeah.
installed. So let me go in here. What is this playback software that it's using by default?
Playback software. It should just be
Celluloid, is that it?
oh yeah, celluloid. Yep. I thought you meant inside OBS. This looks like celluloid.
Yeah, that's, when I right clicked on it, that is what it said. So is this just like default? Is this something that you would recommend? Is there a better video playback software?
I tend to use either VLC or MPV. MPV is a terminal program, but what I like about that is that I can usually get like fine details in the terminal as I'm playing back the video. So, like, I'll do a thing where on one screen I'll have the video playing back, and then on the other screen I'll have the stats. And that's super convenient for me in terms of just pulling up, like, what kind of session is this. But I can also attach to streams that way. So, like, if I wanted to, I can MPV from the terminal to a stream running locally or otherwise, and I can get the stats and the details on that, and that can be really helpful. VLC is a bit more graphical. It handles everything under the sun, and it's pretty good.
So I've been using VLC for years, but my go-to on Windows is Media Player Classic Home Cinema because it has everything pre-installed in there.
Sure.
But I don't think I would have any problem switching to VLC. I think it's powerful and
I really
works.
like VLC. I think VLC doesn't amazing. I use VLC for Blu-rays on Linux. My Blu-ray player is just my Linux box, and I can literally pop the Blu-ray into the player, and because I have a helper library from MakeMKV, VLC can run the Blu-ray menu, and it behaves like a Blu-ray player. I can use my remote to control it. I can, all that stuff.
So let me check one more thing here.
Sure. Somebody says, trust the pylon.
I'm trying to find my most used apps in the Windows. So
Yeah, that's a good question. Somebody says, would like a recommendation for a minimal audio player for listening to voice memos that people send me. I use, if you want to go extremely minimal, I use MPV for that as well. You can...
yeah, all right. Windows 11's being a dick. So let me
in terms of the RAM usage.
All right, I'll load MPV as well because I kind of want to see this now too.
MPV is real good. And you don't need to use MPV from the terminal. I know people get scared, at least in the comments.
Videos.
It's just, it doesn't have MPV is not going to have a menu. You just associate the file type with MPV and then away you go.
Okay. So I just right-clicked on this file and hit open with MPV, and it just played.
Yep.
So that's all I really needed. And you said there are stats on this, though.
So if you open it from the terminal, you'll get stats.
Okay. So I used to be able to do this almost as good as Windows, and I don't know why I completely forgot.
You know what? I think you can actually get stats if you right-click it too, if I'm remembering.
Right-click, properties. So how do I navigate here? And I know this is a dumb one. Everybody, please feel free to make fun of me in the chat, but I used to be able to do this without even thinking about it, and I don't know why my brain doesn't work anymore. How do I just move over to the videos folder using the terminal?
CD and then space, capital V, tab.
That's it?
That's it.
So then how would I play that file with MPV?
MPV space and then tab, and it'll automatically fill in the file name.
Sorta. So if I do MPV space and hit tab,
oh, because you have a hidden file. So then you type in a 2 and then hit tab.
Ah. Okay, so it shows the file, but then in the terminal here, it's showing... Okay, showing resolution, frames per second.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Which is super helpful in certain contexts. And yeah, you can see like it's using your GPU. You can see the resolution, you can see the audio, like from a creator standpoint. That's extremely helpful for me to see at a glance
Yeah, okay. So I think I'm at the point where I could just off stream do this on my main PC. I'm going to do it with a 10 gigabit per second USB drive so that if I
Sure.
mess anything up, I could just put the USB drive back to being a backup. Um, and so the only thing that I'm without a doubt going to need is first the ability to go back into Windows to do video capture.
Sure.
And then also to run a Windows VM so that I could do my same tutorials and test stuff through Windows.
Right.
So, what VM software would you suggest I start with for pass through of hardware, stuff like that?
Well, what kind of pass through are we talking about? Are we talking about passing through USB or are we talking about passing through PCI or PCIe?
Both.
Both. Okay. Um, Pass through is a challenge. I use QEMU and KVM, which is provided by it has a great front end. It's a little older, but it works just fine, called Vert Manager. And that should work if you like go into the software center and just type in Vert Manager. Um, it should load all the dependencies and get you pretty much set up.
VERT, right?
VIRT,
Ah,
like
ha,
virtual,
ha.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And VIRT dash.
Manager. Yep.
So the advantage there, so this is not the most user-friendly piece of software. I'll tell you that right away. The VirtualBox is significantly more user-friendly, but you are not going to get the same level of pass-through capabilities. And if you're trying to do things like PCI pass-through and stuff, learning Vert Manager is going to get you so much faster than anything else.
That's why I wanted to ask, because a lot of stuff like VirtualBox, it's really great if you just need to like load up Windows and run a software. But I know for doing the extra complicated stuff, I would just be banging my head against the wall most of the time.
Exactly. And I will say what I do. I did a video about Vert Manager. It feels like decades ago now, but it was a few years ago. It was my second video on the channel. It's called QEMU and KVM for absolute beginners. That's still, for the most part, I think is spot on. So that's worth checking out if you want like a video guide with it. But the general process that I use for like high speed USB is to pass through a dedicated USB card from PCI. Because I think you're going to run into issues getting like anything above USB 2.0 speeds through Virtual Machine Manager.
All right, let's.
I see you doing something.
Oh, I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, we're okay. So I don't think you're actually connected to your. You might not have installed the. I wonder if Linux Mint didn't in fact install the things you needed.
Where
See if
am
there's
I?
another. Let's see if Ubuntu uses something different than Debian here. My video walked through it. That much I remember.
Well, you have a video dedicated to just this?
Yes.
Sweet. Could you drop? Actually, if you want to do two things, just type anything in the YouTube chat so I can make you a mod, and then you could put your link in.
Okay, there's test, and now I'll drop my video in the chat.
Add as a moderator. And it didn't pop up yet, so you might want to just try that again.
Oh, no, I'm a mod. There we go. I'm a mod. All right. Yeah, I think you're missing a dependency, probably QEMU-KVM, but...
Yeah, hold on one second. My Windows ISOs disappeared off of my computer.
Uh-oh.
That is weird, and I don't like it.
Yeah, and Silent Jet says you might have to reboot. That could be the case, too.
Oh, yeah, let me just try. We've actually done so much on this so far. Let me just reboot it anyway. And restart. So, Nelson, don't partition and have both OSs in their respective drives to save some pain. So that's what I'm actually going to be asking Veronica about in a minute. I have a feeling we're gonna have some quick downtime while I load this up. So I'll ask about dual booting soon because I have a
Oh, geez.
theory about that, but I have a feeling you're gonna straighten me out.
I have opinions on dual booting.
Yeah, so basically, I would never install it on the same drive. I would just install it on a second drive, right? And that way I could always go back to Windows if I need to, and it's never an issue, right?
100%. I would never recommend dual, especially if you've got the space for, like, if you're on anything other than a laptop with a single hard drive and no high-speed external storage. I would always recommend installing on, if you're going to dual boot, install on 2 drives. You're going to have so much better of a time, because then you can just rely on your UEFI or your BIOS to do the switching, and you don't need to worry about installing a boot manager or any of that stuff. It's Windows hates Linux boot managers, and Linux boot managers don't necessarily know how to work with Windows, and it's going to be a pain. You're going to have a hard time.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. So I have, in my current setup, I have 3 drives. One is always just like a working drive where I put all of my stuff that I'm actually like making videos and stuff like that. And then one of them's obviously the OS drive. That's the fastest drive. And then I have one that I render all my videos to that really is just a blank, very fast NVMe. So I was thinking of using that one, the but when I load Linux on it, it completely turns it into a Linux formatted drive, right?
Yes. You can partition it. Partitioning is a little bit more of an advanced topic, but you can partition it so that obviously you have a big space for rendering.
Okay.
I will say, if you're going to be rendering on Linux, what you partition it with, if you want it to be accessible to Windows, that's all going to become an impact, because like if it's on NTFS, you might be dealing with some driver issues. If you try to do FAT, then you're going to deal with size issues, so you just got to be careful.
So what I actually was thinking about there then is, oh, hold on, this drive's not big enough for the stupid file. So what I was actually thinking about, and from that point of view, is when you talk about partitions. So I don't want to go as far as to say expert, but just assume that I know a shit ton about Windows and zero about Linux. So when I'm partitioning this stuff, if I needed to do that, which I may or may not actually need to, then if I just put like, is there something specific I would need to do to split the drive, basically? Or do I just, if it's a 500 gigabyte, I'll do 300 gigabytes to whatever Linux defaults to, and then 200 gigabytes to NTFS, and that's it?
What I would do for this is, assuming a blank drive, like assuming you're not trying to preserve data on a drive, because then we get into all kinds of, like, then it's a multi-step process and it's kind of a big deal. If assuming a blank drive, what I would do is trust the installer, but then remember when we were doing the Linux Mint install and there was the extra steps?
Yeah.
There's an additional options that will say, it'll allow you to size the partition, and I would leave on the end of that drive enough space to where you can format it however you'd like, and then install and then render your files to it. That's how I would solve that problem, is trust the installer to make that decision. Because the installer, the reason why we get into complicated pieces is that there's a bootloader for Linux Mint, and you want to trust Linux Mint to make that decision for you, if that makes sense. You don't want to have installed it across the entire drive and then you try to resize something to gain some space back, and then you run into a problem.
Right. Okay. I think, is there any downside to running this off of a 10 gigabit per second USB drive?
Not unless you do run into bottlenecks. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's an excellent way to get started. And, just to, you install that, as long as your UEFI is comfortable booting from it and that it doesn't that it doesn't bottleneck your connectivity. I think that's a great way to do it.
All right. That's definitely how I'm going to do it then. So a couple of questions. So I'm about to install a VM, but so this laptop has two drives. It has the main
Yep.
OS drive, which is what I installed it on because it's the fastest, and it's also got a standard 1 terabyte SSD in it.
Okay, I browse local is probably how. Sorry, I might be on a delay, but you were trying to get.
No,
the
I closed
ISO.
out of the virtual machine thing.
Oh, I see. Okay, sorry.
So what I was actually just curious about is the hard drive that's not the OS drive showed up fine, clicked on it, everything's cool, but why is there an icon for it on the desktop now?
That's good. It's probably set up to show any mounted volumes on the desktop. And if you right click on the desktop, that might be a setting you can remove. Like somewhere in desktop settings, there might be a what to show.
Mounted drives. There we go. Perfect. Thank you.
Because I know I like that if it's an option.
Well, I would like it if it wasn't a physically installed drive.
Oh, right. Okay, so that thing has to do with a file called fstab or fstab. And what's basically happening is you can set certain drives to automatically mount on boot and treat these drives like they're internal. I don't know if you want to do that with this one.
Definitely, because that's what I'm going to have to do on my main PC anyway.
Yeah, and so I think in Linux Mint, you would go into the disks program to set that if you want to do it graphically. You can, of course, edit fstab and do it the, 40-year-old way, but I would prefer the graphical tool myself.
Okay, we are in the graphical tool. I'm going to wait for this delay. Oh, that's cool. It already shows a temperature reading of it, too.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. So now assuming... So the one thing I would say is it's NTFS. Do you have data on this you care about?
Not this one, but I absolutely will on my main PC, and I'm gonna want to leave it NTFS for a while.
So that should be fine. What I would do, I will see. I mean how it works, but there's a gear icon. You see the gears in the bottom left of the little file system window, and I wonder if you can change ownership.
I could, and there's also mount options as well.
Yeah, let's do mount options.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not going to use session defaults. Mount at system startup. Show in user interface. If checked, the device is always shown in the user interface no matter what its directory is.
Yeah, I think...
Huh?
I don't know. You might not want that. You might want that. That might be the... That might be the cause here. I don't know Mint specifically. I usually handle this the old-fashioned way, but I also only use NVMe drives as my. So I'm not using the I'm not using SATA or anything like that at this point. Because what is this? It's showing up as an SDA.
Yeah.
And then you might have to restart.
So let me just double check here. Edit mount options, mount at system startup, don't show in user interface. Yeah, all right, that all looks good. Let me reboot and see, and then we'll do a quick VM and go from there. And if the VM takes too long, then I'll nag you after the fact.
And that sounds great. Yeah, I don't remember exactly the mechanism that it uses. Again, I use fstab, so.
While we're waiting for this to reboot, one thing I will say with confidence here is that Mint is fast. Ubuntu was so slow that I messaged a whole bunch of my friends who loved Linux and rubbed it in their face that it was way slower than Windows 10.
Right.
And then Catchy, and I think is as fast as Mint. And if it's one is faster than the other, it's not drastic on this laptop.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's faster than Fedora too, but I could be wrong about that.
I mean, you said the laptop was older, like 10 years old or something like that.
It's an i7 though, at least, but yeah.
Yeah, it's an i7, but I think you might be benefiting from the you might be benefiting from Wayland versus X on this one.
Yeah. All right. So now it's just not showing up at all after rebooting. So show in user interface. Yeah,
but now it should still be there. So here, let me walk you through it. There should be a mount point to it.
Yes.
Like, yep. And so and now it's showing up. Yep, I see. I can see it right there. I don't know if you want it to show up or if you don't want it to show up, but you can, if you edit the mount point and make it something like some other folder. So like, see how it's /mnt and then the whole thing?
Yeah.
If you make a folder for it in home somewhere, say like, I don't know what you have on it, but like home/ISOs or something like that. Then you can set that as the mount point and it'll show up there instead of in that devices tab.
Okay. So under home, it would be
like create a new folder for it here.
Okay.
And call it whatever you want to call it.
D drive, because why not? I'm simple. And yeah, and that's it. And then what would I put in the mount point?
Well, so you the easiest way to get that is you navigate into that folder, and then in the address bar, you should be able to copy the entire directory.
Okay. And I would have to reboot again?
Probably.
All right, I'll just do that.
I would think so.
Do that real quick, and if that works, then that's exactly the solution. Because all my jokes about wanting to put stuff on the desktop, I really do like a clear desktop. I would like it to be empty unless I want to put things on there. So.
Yep. Yeah, the delay is getting to me here because it's like I don't know if you actually have restarted or anything like that.
It is mid restart. We should be back in a second here. Oh, an auto login. Is that which I don't really care about that either way, but is there downsides to that where
I think you're always going to run into an issue because of something called the key ring, and it's basically auto login doesn't prevent the key ring from locking or unlocking. So it might automatically sign your user in, but it's not going to unlock all your passwords, your connections. You know, think about your network passwords.
So it worked, but it's still showing it on my desktop.
Because you told it to show up in the user.
In the show in user interface?
Yeah.
Is unchecked.
It's unchecked. Ooh. Okay, that feels funny to me because it shouldn't be doing that. That's interesting.
Yeah, because on my main PC, other than the OS drive, I have 4. So that would just be a stupidly cluttered desktop.
Yeah. Well, I think you can set these things not to show up on the desktop. Like if you go into desktop settings, I think that's an option. Like what I think you do is you right click. Yeah, okay, people are saying that might be a file explorer thing, but try right clicking on the like on the desktop itself, and then I wonder if there's a place to Mounted drives. Uncheck mounted drives.
Yeah, so that does work, but then let's see what happens when I put in a USB stick. 'Cause
Then that's not going to show up.
I guess that would be fine then. Worst comes to worst, that would be fine. Because it does automatically pop up, so we're cool there.
And then you should be able to, again, if push comes to shove, you can do it the old-fashioned way using FS tab, and that gets complicated and weird. And basically, what you do is you add a line in the file that says treat this drive like it's an internal drive, and then it won't show anymore, if that makes sense.
It does. I think that I'm going to use the default settings here for my
Yeah.
ramblings of before. But how would I put that mount point back to the way it was before?
Just change the settings to default in the disks file, the disks program.
That is as easy as it gets. That's what I'm talking about.
See, Linux isn't that hard.
Perfect. It went back exactly the way I wanted it to. We'll go to the home folder, D drive. If I hit delete that folder, it's just going to delete the link, I'm assuming, right?
I would open up the folder and make sure that it's not mounted there anymore.
It is, so I should unmount that first.
Might be a safe bet to unmount it before you delete it. And yeah, move to trash versus delete. One of them's permanent.
Yeah. All right, everything's back to the way it should be. All right, so the very final thing, let's just try to do your virtual keyboard, you moron. How do I get rid of this now?
Oh,
Damn it! I opened the
activated
virtual
the virtual
keyboard by
keyboard.
accident.
I think you can disable it.
Just run it again. Okay, cool.
But-
Virtual Machine Manager. Here we go. All right, so how do I install the good old Windows?
Okay, so you're on the main screen for Virtual Machine Manager or Virt Manager.
Yes.
So now you hit that button that says new, like top left corner.
Yep.
And then, let's see, I should load one up so I can look at it with you.
Local install media from an ISO.
Yep.
And then choose ISO. That's
And then there should be a choose local option.
browse local.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Like browse and then browse local.
Yep.
And then you should be able to just select that. Now, if you get really into this, you can actually spin up your own server that just hosts your VMs. I do that, but
It's getting a weird permissions error for the directory.
yep, that's normal.
Okay.
The first time you do it, it's what it's saying is we don't have the Oh, did it fail all the way at startup?
No, that seems fine.
Okay. It might not actually be working. So here's what's happening is the virtual machine manager, and my video actually talks about this. The virtual machine manager doesn't have the permissions at that folder to see the file that's there. Linux compartmentalizes things to keep you safe. And so you might be running into an issue where the ISO needs its permissions changed, or you need to run virtual machine manager as root. And what I typically do is I take my downloads folder, which is where my ISOs land, and I set that as something that virtual machine manager has permissions on. Because all my ISOs live in the downloads folder when I first get them. Most of the time, with the exception of something that doesn't change all that much, like an old Windows 10, if I'm downloading a Linux distro, in 2 weeks, the ISO is going to be different, because they change, they add more stuff. I'm testing a beta, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
I usually don't hold on to ISOs for all that long.
So I'm just going to drop this ISO on the desktop anyway, because I'm just going to delete it when I'm done, because it's just a temporary thing for me.
Yeah.
30 seconds remaining, and then I'll just restart it.
Yeah, that might solve your problem. And I think, if I'm remembering correctly, QEMU might not like NTFS. Because it can't update the permissions direct. Like, you can go through in the terminal and set permissions, but I don't remember that off the top of my head for sure. Yeah, and somebody in the chat says you can add your user to the libvirt group. That is a thing you can do. You only have to do it one time, and then it should be set. My video talked about that. It's been a bit. I think the command could probably give it to you.
So create a disk image. Does this have the dynamically growing disk images, or does this have to be a permanent sized? So if it's like create a 128 gigabyte image.
I think it's not dynamic, but I could be wrong. I have to look at mine. I'm gonna pull some up here. Let's see.
Because that's going to be the other problem, is I'm going to need to leave at least one of those other drives on NTFS.
I think QCOW2 is. I think that one might be fine here. I'm trying to see one of my files here. Storage size 20 gig. Okay, let me look at the folder it's in. Libvirt images. Fine, do it. No, they are not dynamically sized, at least on my machine. I think they can be dynamically sized, but you might have to set that as a custom feature. I would say for now, don't,
Okay, could I put this in the NTFS drive though? Because that's going to be something I have to do on my main PC.
You can try it.
All right, so
I don't see why it wouldn't be able to boot the file off of there, assuming it can write to it. That might be the. I think you have to add yourself to the libvirt group, and I think until you do that, it's maybe going to have some issues.
So I would go to select or create custom storage, go to manage, and then create one that way.
You could. You have to add your NTFS drive as a location, which is that plus icon at the bottom left. And then it's going to tell you if it's having any permissions issues.
For create a storage pool?
Yes.
Okay.
So what the storage pool is it's basically just a location that has the permissions that Virt Manager needs to be able to write new files and folders and anything that you need there.
Okay. And then I'll create the volume here.
Yep.
I'll just do 60 gigabytes because it doesn't matter. QCOW2, Windows 11. Is it, so it says 40 minutes to do this?
It probably won't take 40 minutes.
All right, I'll give it like 2 or 3 minutes, and if it doesn't, oh wait, no, it's done. It's done. Okay.
Yeah.
You say that's weird. What's it doing? A manual format?
I think it does the ETA as a it polls the USB to determine what the ETA is actually going to be, but then it doesn't actually work out that way.
So I'm getting the other permissions error again.
Yeah, I think I can help you with it. You got to open up a terminal.
Okay.
And then in the terminal, you've got to add yourself to the libvirt group.
Okay. How do I do that?
Okay, so it is, let's see. You need to, I think it's just libvirt. So I usually do this as sudo and then user mod -a and then a -G and then libvirt and then your username.
And that's it.
Assuming it exited without error, I think that should be it.
Group libvirt does not exist. Libvert.
IRT.
Again. My fault. All right. And that was it.
So then hopefully the VM starts up. You might have to repeat the process if it wasn't able to create the files, but
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to repeat the process, but that should be an easy one now that I know what to do. So local browse.
see, okay, it's telling you access denied. Can you create any other files on that external drive? I think this is the NTFS issue where it doesn't know what permissions it has. And you might have to close out Virt Manager and reopen it because it's not gonna.
Okay. And yeah, I just created an untitled document on there, and that seemed to work. So
Okay. Yeah, then I think you might, you know what, you might have to restart the computer because you changed your user and you have a user session on, and I don't think Mint hot reloads that.
All right, that quick restart, and then I'll give this one last shot.
But Virt Manager, I would say, it's one of those. I don't want to say set it and forget it, but it's pretty close. Like once you get your configuration set up, you don't really have to think about it all that much anymore. And there's a great redirect USB device. It's just a simple like toggle in the user or in the menu, and it does it because you can, if you have the PCI card, you should be able to configure the GPU to go through that, and then you can pump that in your capture device, and things work really slick. Or you can be like me, I just capture the screen within the virtual machine. So.
I was actually going to ask, could I just do that? Because that would actually be really easy for me.
Oh yeah, no, you can do that. That should be fine. Like if you were running Windows in a virtual machine, you could even go so far as installing OBS, provided you give the virtual machine all the resources that it needs. You know, enough space and size, and you have to hit the play icon probably to start the pool.
I could just delete and recreate that then, right?
No, you don't have to delete and recreate the pool. You should be able to just hit the play icon.
It says cannot open directory, no such file or directory.
Oh, because you don't have the thing set to auto mount yet. So just mount the drive that you had it connected to.
What was it?
So that's that auto mount business, and if it mounts on startup, you shouldn't have that issue anymore.
Getting another operation not permitted thing.
Does it give you the option to correct it now?
Nope, it just says it's the exact same thing as last time.
It's the exact same thing. Shoot. Media user. I wonder if this is NTFS. I can see the file though.
It's right there. And it's a 64 gigabyte file too. So it's the right one.
Yeah, I can see it's got the file.
Because it says the first error is it
installing.
says the emulator may not have search permissions for the path. Do you want to correct this now? I hit yes. And then the immediate next thing to pop up is errors were encountered changing permissions.
Try running it. Just see what it does.
All right. Unable to complete install, cannot access storage file.
Okay.
So do we just create a new one because maybe I didn't have permissions when I was creating the other one.
That could be it. I mean, try it again. See if it errors out or not.
Let me.
Because yeah, it could be that file you don't have the permissions on it.
Delete. Create.
Yep. Somebody in the comments says it might be that it's mounted with permissions for your user, but not the libvirt user. But if you're part of the libvirt group, I don't know that that's going to be an issue. And you shouldn't have to do this pool step every time either.
All right, so I'm back at the spot where
yeah, why don't you hit cancel on the pool, because you don't have to create a new storage pool for every device.
Okay.
Yeah, just start the pool with the play. Yep, and then create a new volume within that pool.
All right, I think I'm just gonna start over. I think I messed something up in the VM folder. There's no more 60 gigabyte file there, so that's fine. I'll empty the trash in case it went there.
So let's see. We're starting from scratch. In the create a new virtual machine.
So load ISO. I'm just getting choosing the ISO for that. That's fine. And then select or create custom storage, manage, pool, and I'm going to try to just hit start pool. All right, that seemed to work.
Yep.
Now add the volume, and I'll do 50 gigabytes this time so we know it's different. And that's saying it was going to take a gazillion years, but it only took less than a minute last time. Yep. Okay, choose volume, forward. The emulator may not have search permissions. Do you want to correct this now? Yes. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Same error.
Same error. I don't know. This might be an NTFS thing. Could you try it on?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like just to see if it works, just to make sure we're not dealing with some other issue.
All right, so create custom storage. Actually, if I just do create a disk image for this virtual machine and I just did a 20 gigabyte, it would just do it on that main drive anyway, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't do the custom storage, if you select just create and just make it small enough to where it'll fit.
And that's already booting. Yeah, so that must be an NTFS issue then.
It's got to be a permissions issue. I don't know if it's an NTFS issue or a permissions issue directly. You might need to do a chown command inside a VM folder to assign it to the libvirt group. I just don't know if that actually works through NTFS. That's the thing I need to think about.
What's the key? Wait, Control L to release the pointer. How do I release the
Oh Alt yeah, L? It should be Control Alt.
Control Alt. Gotcha. Yep. Okay.
No bootable option or device was found. Hit the I.
I accidentally already clicked something else.
Yep. Okay. See, there's an I in the menu bar.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
And then inside the I, it should show you all the options that are present.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. I'm waiting. There's a delay. Okay. So now I can see it. So SATA disk 1, take a look at that.
It's the 20 gigabyte that I just
Yep.
created.
And then SATA CD-ROM 1.
Yeah, and it's the correct ISO.
Yep, go to the boot options and see if it's the right order.
Yeah, maybe I just didn't click on it. It is the right order, so let me
Yeah, if you didn't click, I mean I don't remember. It's been a while since I installed Windows. I don't know if they do a click here to actually launch thing, or if it just boots in directly. That I don't remember. Can you go into device or boot manager and see if
Yeah,
you can
that's all it
select?
was. Press any key, and I didn't hit the key. That's all it
Okay.
was.
It's been a bit.
Yeah, the last time I did this was building VMs inside Unraid, which it all worked great, and then they upgraded, and then half the VMs stopped working, and I had to
Right.
bug Ed in order to help.
Now I know with Windows 11 there's a TPM requirement. If you might have to bypass that. This is a Windows 10.
I
Um,
think this is actually Windows 11, but I think I no, this is Windows 10. It says Windows 10 anyway, but I'm gonna just say I don't have a product key, and because I'm gonna redo all of this anyway. This is just the
right.
very basics. 10 home.
And plus you probably don't want to share a product key.
Yeah, I actually when I was working IT had that memorized
Oh,
because
sure.
I had put it in so many times. My
Mhm.
boss thought I was like a idiot savant or something. I was like, no, 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 no. Just when you're 9,000 times installing Office and Windows, it just all
Right.
comes to you.
So it looks like it's installing Windows.
This is a little slower than I thought, but okay. So when it's once it's in, is there something we could at least look at here without messing this up? So if I go to like pass through or anything like that, or do we have to
Yeah.
wait till it's actually done?
Well, right now you should be able to pass through USB without issue. You don't want to pass through PCI when you're hot loading, and I don't know if you have any PCI stuff, but see how it says redirect USB device
Okay. Yep,
under
yep.
virtual machine. Yep.
All right, so that's awesome. So when I do this, which I won't, it's up on screen now just as a visual. So when I end up doing this, if I like Logitech USB receiver for my mouse, let's just say I
Yep.
did that. Once I hit that, would it disable it for the main PC and only
Yes.
allow it? Okay, which is what we want. So that's
That's what
perfect. Yeah.
it is, as though that USB device is connected directly to the main device. So you can use that for all sorts of testing.
Okay.
I think here you're limited to USB 2 speeds, which depending on the device might or might not be an issue. That's where I've passed through a PCIe card with whatever fanciness I need.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. All right. So I'll close this out and then where in these settings are, or would I have to have the VM closed in order to try to pass through hardware?
I think you have to have the VM shut off to do a hardware pass through. But if you click on the eye again, we should be able to do it at least without messing with anything. And then in the eye, there should be an option for PCI pass through. The eye we're on the delay again, but the eye underneath where it says virtual machine in the Windows. Yep, there
I
we go.
think I'm in the right spot, but we'll have to wait
Yep.
for it to catch up.
See how it
Okay.
says add hardware at the bottom left corner?
Ah, right here. Okay. Add new virtual hardware.
And you should be able to control PCI pass through. But if you can't control it through here, you can get a lot more control over the command line. And there's commands you can set up for that. But I can usually do most of it from here, and it's fine.
So for PCI host device, that's where stuff would be listed on the main PC, right?
Yes, if you have a card plugged into like a PCIe port on your desktop, you should be able to see it here and pass it through.
So here is the kicker. And Lex, if you're still here, buddy, jump on in for this one. I'm assuming you bailed a long time ago, but if it's a device that Linux doesn't understand, it just knows it's there, could I still
Mm-hmm.
pass it through?
Yes.
Ah, okay. So this
So
might be the key for a lot of what I do then.
so I have successfully, well, my case for this was always somebody would send me a capture card, and I appreciate it. Thanks folks for sending me stuff. Oftentimes the capture card would not work on Linux, and I still wanted to see if it functioned before I would try to send it to its next home. And so I would plug it in and pass it through and have a Windows VM just to test that card and, install the drivers, do the thing, and it always worked fine. So,
Very cool. All right. Well,
yep.
I'm going to roll the dice, and if this crashes it, we're almost done anyway, because you've got me farther than I could do on my own in a month. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
So I just plugged in a USB capture card into this laptop, and I'm going to
Sure.
give it a minute because I know it's already trying to load this OS and everything else. And I'm going to fire up OBS, and this did actually work in Fedora, so I'm assuming it's probably going to work here because this is a Magewell that also is supposed to just be a UVC device as well.
Yep. Magewell is usually pretty good. I've always wanted to have some Magewell stuff on hand but it's a little pricey.
Yeah, get used. The card I have is like a $500 card that I got for $40 or something like that.
Okay, that's. I will keep that in mind because oh my goodness.
Oh, perfect. I forgot to ask you about this. When I'm adding a video capture device, should I be using Pipewire or should I be using the original?
Probably not.
Okay.
I would hold off on Pipewire for a little bit. There's still some experimental stuff happening with it, and I've noticed glitches and some stuff with it. V4L2 works just fine for me. It's what I'm using. Well, not right now. I'm not on OBS right now, but when I do this camera setup, I do it through V4L2, and it's fine.
Okay. I am going to grab my Tink 2K or 2X just so I could have a generic HDMI thing with a color bar in here, just so we can get something on screen as a visual cue. Where is USB cable? All right.
Yeah, somebody says in the chat, Pipewire is awesome for audio capture. I love it for audio capture. I use it for audio capture in my DAW all day long. It's great. But video capture through OBS, for whatever reason, has been a little buggy for me. I know it doesn't like any of my AverMedia cards. And considering I have like 3 of them, it's kind of a big deal. So...
Yeah, so the other issue for me is a lot of the stuff that I do, it's very precise capture. So down to the exact frame rate. You have to go lossless. It can't do anything. So OBS is amazing for everything but that. And not only that, but the Live Gamer 4K. So after I released that Capture Direct 480i video, somebody had messaged me and said they contacted AverMedia a long time ago and said, hey, I want to do 480i on this card, but it doesn't support it. And they sent them a beta driver, and he just sent it to me, and it worked perfect. And I emailed AverMedia, and I got some weird response, like, we'll take this into consideration, thanks. And I'm like, no, just give me the damn link. So I hosted it on RetroRGB. If I get a takedown request, I'll take it down. But, so I need a specific driver version to capture 480i, and this is going to be Windows only, so...
Well, one of the things, I mean, I've had some good luck with Blackmagic, the Decklink cards, but the Decklink cards aren't super flexible when it comes to what resolutions they support, and I think that's really a shame, because I think there's a lot it could be doing that would be awesome, but I think that's at the hardware level. I don't think that's limited to Linux.
Yeah,
I think at a hardware level, when I compare them with a Magewell card, they cost a lot less. And I don't think they have the same level of control and support for it.
So the last time I did a deep dive on the Blackmagic, I hated it as much as I always did, but I completely recognize that if you're just somebody who's like, if I didn't do the weird capture stuff, if I was just making videos looking at a camera, it would be perfect. It would do everything I needed it to do. And all of them were amazing. But once you start getting into the weird stuff, especially like retro gaming stuff where there's all off timing, I couldn't have hated it anymore. So
that's the reason. One of the reasons I bought the RetroTink is specifically so it could handle the weird timing stuff for my captures, and I just trust it, and I'm not doing the same stuff you're doing. I'm mostly just trying to get a Commodore 64 to look good, and I want the fine control, and it's like I would rather hand that off to a dedicated device and then just use an AverMedia card to grab it. And that works fine for me. I know it doesn't work for everybody, but like for me it works over UVC. It's fine. It just always functions.
Reaper wants to know if you've tried to capture with the V4L2 driver in Linux with your AverMedia card.
Oh yeah, I'm doing it right now.
Oh, well, there you go.
I wonder if we're talking about your PCIe AverMedia card, Bob.
Maybe, and I'll have to get back to you in about a week with that because I'm gonna.
I don't think it works.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, I think Addie just did, Epos Fox just did a video about the HD card and getting that working on Linux. And I don't know if 4K is coming. But somebody's basically like plugging away at drivers for it, like basically reverse engineering the driver set. But I wouldn't, if you depend on the precise timings and the actual built-in drive, I think you're better off doing a VM, if that's the way you want to go.
Yeah. So I think in the short term, the one thing I got to do is just finish this video I've been working on for a month and a half. So I'll probably stick with Windows for the next couple of days, and then I'm going to load on Linux on the USB drive, and I'm going to start doing this stuff. And as long as I could get my day-to-day stuff working without any issues, then that's no problem at all. Then one of the things I would probably try to do is maybe copy my Windows drive to that render drive.
Sure.
And just so I could go back to it if I need to, and then try to set up Windows VMs to pass through. And if I could do it with pass through, cool. If not, having a dual boot environment is still going to be able to do whatever I need to.
Right.
The only thing I wouldn't really, well, I was about to say something stupid. I was about to say the only thing I really wouldn't be able to do easily is like go back and forth between capture and like precise capture and editing at the same time, except that's really hard to do anyway, because even on this i9 PC with, what was it, 64 gigs of RAM or whatever I got on here, if I have anything else open except the capture software, I can't do 4K 60 lossless. I could do less than that, but not that, because it's a bus issue with the drive.
Sure. Yeah, and you're talking at such speeds that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean that's once you get to 4K 60 or 1080p 240,
right?
That's a lot of data, and almost no one needs lossless capture of that. You just need it if you're doing signal analysis, which is what I have to do sometimes.
Right.
So,
well, one of the things I struggle with just like how my brain works is editing and capture are incredibly different like contexts for my brain. And so I wouldn't do them anyway, just because like when I'm capturing, I'm focused on the capture. And the way I create my videos is I storyboard everything, and I do the capture at the storyboard level, and then I basically just write out, here's what I'm doing, here's what I should say, and I write the script in the editor, at least in terms of the what I say when various pieces of footage are up. And because of that, like I think if I had to switch, like I'm just thinking mindset wise, if I needed to use Windows for capture, I don't think it would be the end of the world. I could probably still do all the editing on Linux just because of that context switching.
Yeah, I think when it comes to just capturing 1080p 60, 4K 60 basic stuff, that's never going to be an issue. But I think if you're, if you ever need to do like a detailed retro gaming capture, I don't think it's going to be an issue for you to just go bounce back and forth,
Sure.
Somebody was asking if I found a lossless codec that works in DaVinci Resolve, and I have not tried FFV1 yet, and that is something I'm definitely going to jump into next, because one of the things that I found is when you're doing, even if you're doing 240p lossless, which don't do that unless you're insane. There's no need to do that anymore. Trust me, I've wasted thousands of hours on this. But even at a low file size, it's still lossless.
Right.
So you're wasting a ton of disk space on, fumbling around with your console before you hit the power button, because you always hit capture, first. So
Mm-hmm.
no matter what, because some codecs are required for lossless capture, like you need UT video for 4K 60. I don't know why, by the way. But so the point I'm trying to ramble here is that after you got the capture, I think what's probably going to be the best bet is to re-encode it in FFV1, chop off
Sure.
just what you need, and then see if that works. But Bit in the comments, don't you could pass that along to your friend, but let her know that I haven't tested it yet. It's just FFV1 is what we should be using for preservation, not for chats and YouTube videos, but for actual
Right.
preservation and stuff like that. So hopefully that'll all end up working.
Well, cool. It looks like your Windows VM is Windows VMing.
Yeah, I think we are all set here. I think everything else is just going to be me messing around with it. But Veronica, thank you so much. Honestly,
No,
this is awesome.
this is my pleasure. And if at any point you want to have me back on to talk more about Linux or about vintage tech or like doing something silly on a Commodore 64, just let me know.
I want to do all of those things. I would also like to do a regular interview, hanging out one time, crack a beer or a coffee or whatever it is that you
That
enjoy,
sounds
and
great.
just kind of relax. And I also would love to do, like somebody in the chat suggested, maybe a couple of months from now, maybe we do a follow up and you just like walk me through or point out anything I'm doing wrong. I'll just run through like I did with Epos the other day. Like, here's my setup, and he's like,
I
okay,
love that idea. I think that sounds like a good plan. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
awesome. Well, thank you again. Obviously, contact me anytime you need anything. That's what I'm here for. So.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, take care. Thank everybody for in the chat for hanging out and watching. This was a long one, but awesome. And